Hey everyone, welcome back to another Exo Heroes video. Today we're going to be going over the latest core reverse, and that's going to be FC Emma. Before this rework, FC Emma was truly a forgotten memory. Not bad enough that people hated her, but also not good enough that anyone would actually want to use her. So now that Line have finally made some changes, we'll be going over what those changes are, what they mean, and in the end, whether or not she's worth pulling for. If you enjoyed this video, at the end, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more Exo Heroes and Genshin content. Without further ado, let's get started. So first things first, what changed? FC Emma now has two additional passives, Nobility and Past Recollection. Nobility is a debuff that decreases the defense of the attacking enemy by 20% of her max health for 7 turns if she survives the attack, and this can stack up to 4 times. Past Recollection is a mark that decreases the defense of all enemies by 30% of her max health for 10 turns when she dies. Both of her actives have not been changed. Okay, so now that we've gone over her changes, let's take a minute to think about how these changes will actually play out in-game. It's clear that with these new passives, she's supposed to lean more into her support role by way of debuffing the enemy's defense. Because this effect is tied to her passive, her gameplay decisions won't fundamentally change, since the choice of attacking or killing her still lies with your opponent. However, this does force them into a pick your poison kind of situation where there are 3 options. Number 1, attack Emma and take the debuff, open yourself to getting debuffs stacked. Number 2, kill Emma and take the team-wide debuff. Or number 3, don't attack Emma and let her free hit you. Obviously, none of these are really options, since you'll have to attack and eventually kill Emma anyways. The question is, when will you do that, and how impactful are these debuffs going to be since you can't avoid them? And the answer is pretty impactful. To put things into perspective, FC Iris has been a meta-defining unit for a long time, and this is largely due to her Wet Fog passive, which removes barriers and applies a defense debuff once a round. While FC Emma does not remove barriers, the defense debuff she provides is the same 20% max HP and procs when she's hit by an attack and stacks up to 80%, which means using AoE against her is going to be dangerous. And you might be saying, but wait, it's categorized as a debuff, which means it could be cleansed. And this is true, but it also has potentially higher uptime due to not being limited to once per round like Wet Fog. And that's just the Nobility passive. Her Past Recollection debuff counts as a mark, so that minus 30% defense on all enemies can't be cleansed. Now, just like Iris, Emma is a support hero, and she has innately high health and health scaling. With that taken into consideration, just like Iris, you're going to want to be awakening her with redstones, and she's going to end up with massive amounts of HP, and thus, massive defense debuffs. If we assume a built-out FC Emma will have roughly the same health as an FC Iris, if we use high-tier PvP benchmarks, that's going to be roughly 30k HP. With Nobility, you're looking at a debuff from between 6,000 to 24,000 defense, and even at the lowest value of 6,000, that's already higher than Tantalo and Shufraken's defense at comparable builds. Once we bring in Past Recollection into the conversation, when Emma dies, the whole enemy team is losing 9,000 defense, which is going to translate to true damage on everyone. This all sounds amazing so far, but let's take a step back and look at how she would fit in the context of the current meta. There's a little variation now, but PvP is still largely focused on hitting hard and fast. We're seeing Rira Bathory again, Jinai Adams, Shufraken Brook, and Rachel Xeon. Of these combos, the Shufraken Brook duo is the slowest at 92 base speed, and that's still faster than Emma. So if we think back to the pick your poison analogy, if you try and kill Emma early, you'll run the risk of her surviving and debuffing your main damage, which opens them up to being counter-killed and stacking the debuff, if you're not running a cleanse hero. But most people will have Iris, so this might not be as much of an issue. On the other hand, if you do kill Emma, now your whole team has an uncleansable defense debuff which should bring everyone down to 0 defense or lower, and this would basically guarantee a wipe in the following round. Taking these two situations into account, you would probably want to focus on the rest of Emma's team and leave her for last, or if you're able, use AoE to wipe out the other damage threats in the first round to eliminate potential follow-up after Emma dies. Either way, it's a bit risky because Signature Force exists, and this means Emma is an active damage threat with a passive debuff threat. Both of her actives are single target, which means full elemental damage, and at 3 and 4 mana that's going to be 9,800 and 12,250 damage just from Signature Force. If you're going up against Awakened heroes, this isn't going to be enough to one-shot, but that was never Emma's job to begin with. Now she could provide true support utility through her passive and also contribute some nice supplemental damage. Once awakened, the risk of her dying is significantly lower, but we would still recommend running her with a Tantalus to keep her and the rest of her team alive for as long as possible to take advantage of the stacking passive, as well as making sure follow-up damage is there if she dies. Because she provides debuffs by staying alive and dying, it allows for a lot of flexibility in how you want to run the team. We can see her slotting into a North Von Frosty team for a slow burn fight, or a Bathory Rira comp where Rira can get almost guaranteed follow-up upon Emma's death. No matter how you play her, you're going to want to awaken her with redstones for the max HP and have Jinai's signature force unlocked as high as possible to get elemental damage and bonus stats. After taking some time to ponder over her new passives and how they might affect her role, we think she's designed to be an FC Iris alternative. While not specifically designed to counter First Guardians like Wet Fog, her new passives can be used more generally, and the debuff mark on death is a unique way to deter attackers. Finally, the big question: should you pull? Our final verdict is yes, but only a little. It's still unknown how she'll perform in higher tier PvP. As a competitor for the FC Iris spot, we have yet to see whether the general defense debuff is more useful than the targeted First Guardian counter. Our impression at the moment is no. However, if you missed out on getting yourself an FC Iris, then definitely consider going for Emma. She's quite strong now, and more importantly has hidden value in forcing your opponents to make tough decisions during a fight. PvP wise, she's going to be viable until at least Challenger, and that could come in handy for tag team. If you have Jinai's signature force and resources available to Redstone Awaken Emma, then we think she could be a solid addition to any team. If you don't have those two boxes checked, then maybe hold off as her value drops significantly without meeting those criteria. With that having been said, it wouldn't be the worst thing to drop 1 or 2 pulls if you don't have her. And even if you skip this banner, she's a Black Frame Fate Core, so chances are you'll get her eventually through FC tickets or just random recruiting. That does it for this video. We hope you enjoyed and found it informative. Let us know what you think of the new FC Emma in the comments, and as always, please don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.